Welcome back to Global TV Talk Show. This is Ed in San Diego, and Ken Lloyd is joined us, Dr. Ken Lloyd in LA, and just back in from New York.
Yep.
Yeah, and in Maryland, Eastern Maryland, Ron Cooper, the cooperculture.com. Today we're going to be talking about leadership gaps. And I was just saying that I didn't understand that there was a big problem in that, but I asked Gemini and then I got 10,000 words. So I didn't bother reading it all, but I looked at the headlines. Ron Cooper, you're an executive coach, senior level, C-suite whisperer, I guess. Tell us about leadership gaps.
No, thank you, Ed, and I appreciate this opportunity to speak with you and your primarily your listening audience about what are sometimes are called leadership gaps. There could be different names to it, different descriptors, but very basically, they're outdated modes of leadership, and some of those outdated modes are where you have a weekly scheduled meeting. It's this day, this time, and let's meet. And once we're in the room, we'll figure out what it is we want to talk about. And that could be one thing. Dr. Ken Lloyd is an expert on appraisals in performance evaluations. And rather than doing that annually, people want to be engaged to know where they are on a continuous basis. And that doesn't have to be an hour-long assessment daily or weekly. It's just a periodic conversation to where I, as an employee, I, as a leader, feel that I am engaged with my people in communication. We can be very top heavy with communication. We can micromanage. We have discussed that before. But if we are micromanaging people, that means to a degree, we largely don't trust them. And those are just some of the factors that go into the topic of outdated management practices, leadership gaps, and the like. But I think, Ed and Ken, my perception is, and I think there are plenty of statistics to prove it, people want to be engaged in a meaningful way. People want communication, and they want it to be meaningful. We can very easily tell if I am communicating with you, Ken, simply because I feel obligated to do that. I'm your supervisor, therefore I have to say hello. I have to put in X amount of time to communicate with you. You'll know that right away, that I'm not really engaged with you. I'm doing this as an obligatory meeting, conversation, and so forth. And if people sense I'm doing things strictly out of obligation, people are not going to engage. They will actually disengage. And then, of course, the other topic that is becoming, well, it's very relevant. Do I have to be in the office with you, or can I be remote? And can I still effectively contribute to the company objectives? Are they very well defined? Do I have a method to where you can assess exactly where I am in contributing to the company? Ed and Ken, these are all just some top level conversations, but yet, as we leaders know our people, we need to be meaningfully engaged with them.
So how do we get companies to tell the middle management to shape up, to communicate, to be human, to respect people's differences and train people? So one of the issues that Gemini talked about was lack of trust and the ability to understand people who are different, the leader, the manager, the worker, lack of trust.
Yes, and Ed, it's very common that I cannot force you to do what you don't want to do. I can't make you do something.
Well,
And
you get
so,
fired, right? Get
well,
out.
or let's just say no. Let's just say that I am a contractor and I just have a sense about your company, nothing more than a sense. First and foremost, I have to develop a relationship with you. I'm not going to tell you right up front that Ed, your employees seem to be totally disengaged with you. No, I've got to work my way to establish a relationship, a rapport with you, so I can gain certainty and credibility with you. Once we have established that, then I may ask you, can I share an observation with you, Ed? And it's either yes or no. And of course, if the answer is no, then I can't force myself on you. But if you say, well, yes, if we have a good enough rapport that you trust me as having valid observations, and I may tell you, well, Ed, I've just noticed different things in your company, and then you may say, tell me a little bit more about that. What do you base your assessment on, and so forth? Ed, we can take that conversation to a more meaningful level. But in terms, if it is middle management who's having the problem, then almost certainly it begins at the top level. That the CEO, the one in charge, needs to make changes to whatever the culture is that the middle managers are not engaging, they're micromanaging, whatever it may be. But we have to have the courage to confront. And again, I'm going to always say that by confronting, we're certainly not doing that in a combative or argumentative way. It's just we need to have a meaningful discussion about this. And so that's at least a part response to what you were saying.
Ken, I'd like you to comment, of course. One thing that I think about is people are afraid to speak up, retaliation or misunderstandings. I'm an outsider. Ken?
This goes back to having a psychologically safe workplace where people are, in fact, encouraged to openly express their thoughts, and they will know that there will be no retaliation, no reprisals, no hostility, no unwarranted criticism. To know that you have the freedom here, we will listen to you. You both have used the word trust, and that is so important, and not to have it out there and we trust you. But words are fine. To truly trust. When I find and work with managers who aren't displaying trust, what's the most common factor behind it is they don't really trust themselves. And they know that when they are in similar positions and with management, they don't always like to admit it, but they couldn't be trusted. Not that they're going to go and steal or whatever, but they're not working the way they expect their employees to, or maybe they've experienced questionable management. We found that the way people manage is often heavily influenced by the way they were managed early in their career. And if they worked under a manager who did not show trust, the odds are they're going to be doing the same as well. So when you ask, how do we introduce this into a company? You also use the word training as part of your comments. That's really what it is, whether in groups and or as individuals, to work on that, to help build the skills of these managers, not just technically, but how do you deal effectively with people, and respect and trust in a bona fide way, not just words, are key steps to take. And to get rid of the rituals, these ritualistic meetings. As you said, Ron, yeah, we just always do it, so we have it. And everyone goes in there and go, this is a big waste of time. And frankly, they undercut trust. You say that we're a progressive, modern, innovative organization, yet we have these meetings, we sit around, we waste all this time, and that just undercuts exactly what we're trying to do in the first place.
Ken, I'm going to advance what you were just saying because there's so much truth to that. Another manifestation of carrying forward, and you use that, and we do frequently carry forward whatever the environment is. Maybe we were raised in it as a family, we were brought up in it with a company or whatever. The term silence. There are some people who will remain silent. They're not going to speak up because, and Ken, you mentioned it, we don't have a psychologically safe workspace, home environment. The home environment could have been just be quiet about this. If you can't work through it, then you just remain silent about it. We don't complain to each other and so forth. Just stay silent. And if I, as a leader, notice within my employees, my staff, that there's some number of people who just seem to be remaining silent, and I understand introverted people, but we have to be able to discern those who are silent because of, and I will tell you tomorrow, we're listening to the wife of one of my mentors who has overcome some of what I'm just speaking of, silence in her life, because of different things. And so silence is one of the ways people manifest insecurities, any number of things, that I will remain silent rather than say anything because I don't want to risk whatever my situation. I cannot afford to be fired because I'll lose my home or whatever it may be. So better off just to remain silent. Just give me a paycheck and I'll get out of here.
Yeah, and that's a clear sign of a complete disengagement with whatever the entity is, whether it's a family or an organization. Silence is not simply, oh well, I'll just put up with it. It's really a withdrawal. And fine, I'm just not going to say anything. And just as you said, give me my paycheck, I'll go and do it. Does that bring out creativity, productivity, innovative thinking? Right? Of course not. It's just people ritualistically going through their jobs and basically, I mean basic in the most low level, basically getting it done, as opposed to looking forward and learning and growing and developing and coming up with new ideas and suggestions, truly engaging in what they're doing instead of simply carrying it out. You have 6 things you want me to do, I'll do them. I'll get them done. I'll meet that low bar, and that's it. That's not what we want in an organization. And frankly, that's not what people are saying or searching for. You mentioned people want engagement. That's very true. They would much rather be engaged in their job. And that does mean that they don't sit there silently. And it does mean that they can disagree and come up with their own ideas and won't be instantly and automatically shot down. Not every idea is going to be great, but maybe the next one will be. I want to hear it. So please keep your thinking open and know that we're interested in what you have to say.
Ron, what about succession? Is there a gap? Is there
I
enough
think
talent?
in some cases, very definitely so, because we on this call are largely boomers, and those who succeed us are going to be whatever generation they are. And there are certainly technology advancements, and so the way the way the younger people, those younger than us, however younger they may be, they were in a different environment than we are. And so we need to transfer our leadership to those. I will say that, in my opinion, technology advances every day. Those things that do not change are values, personal core values, and that trust, respect. Those are things that don't change. We want to have trust. We want to develop respect with each other, and we do want to communicate and be engaged with each other. Those are some very fundamental core elements that do not change. Technology is the way we communicate can certainly change, but we will always want to communicate and relate and engage with each other. The methods of doing that certainly may change. We need to adapt, but that's a lot of what I think of as let's say age gaps, gender gaps. That yes, those things happen, and are we adaptable? I would certainly hope so.
Technology, the use of technology. The younger people are going to use the phone or research, tech. Everything is tech. Older people try to work things through discussion.
It's interesting because when we were growing up, and certainly our parents and grandparents, the generation that would be working where they were trained, they were the word with craftsmen or the master of this or that. And the new people who come in the workforce, they would be apprentices and they would have to learn. Now it's really flip-flopped in many ways, which is hard for people of our generation to sometimes accept, that the new generation coming in is not just going to sit there and learn from us. That's part of it, but we're going to learn from them. And it's very important to go in with that mindset that they're coming in with a whole different set of skills. I have no qualms about certainly getting technical advice and help from brand new employees. That's fine. And generations ago, it would kind of be, if you're really a senior craftsperson, why are you asking this apprentice for how to do something? That mindset is gone. And I think what we've really seen now is much more, I would hope it's mutual respect with the new entries into the workforce, respecting the experience and frankly, not necessarily the knowledge so much as the wisdom of those who have a little bit more life experience. At the same time, those on the more senior end of the workforce, respecting and understanding that the new generation at work can make amazingly great contributions. And the way that they grew up in the digital area can be just a super asset for an organization.
Ron, would you like to comment on that before we move
Oh,
on?
I'm in total agreement that yes, the technology as it advances, the younger people are very adaptive to that technology. And I've mentioned before, reverse mentorship, that I can learn from a 20, 30-year-old about technology, those things I don't know about, and they can teach me things. And certainly as we relate to each other just that way, I'm learning from them, they learn from me. That's a way of mutually engaging with each other or engaging to a mutual benefit. I use that term very frequently. And so as we are engaging with people, I would hope that people don't, in the privacy of their workday, don't abuse the time. And I'm not expecting, every hour, every minute of the day, but, there's some people who are obsessed with the texting and so forth on the phone, and they can be hours doing that. And so I would hope that I have relayed to those within my sphere of influence exactly what our company is about, the strategic objectives, what we're working toward, and how everyone contributes to that objective. And so I do want to hold people accountable, but I don't want to micromanage them. So a lot said in what I just said, Ed.
So what about this issue of behavior in the workplace and harassment and, crap like that? Gemini says this is a big deal. So I ask you because you're practitioners much more than I am. I'm just a media guy. That says here 47% of employees report harassment. 47%. Ron, is that real?
Well, and I just have to assume that statistics, and I have not looked at the sources that you quoted, but what is harassment? I mean, what do people consider harassment? And it could be various forms of, oh gosh, you're always looking over my shoulder, you're micromanaging, you're telling me I must do things this way, but that's not the best way that I can complete a task. And that may be harassment that we hopefully are not of the mindset that we're not adaptable to, but different people have different ways to accomplish their various tasks. And I would certainly hope that I can help leaders be adaptable to different people's talents and so forth, that I'm not harassing that, well, you've got to do things the way I tell you to do it. I do certainly believe in the continuity and congruity of communication. That's, to me, is a core value, that let's communicate with each other. And so I don't want to be, again, harassing, but yet one of the core values for me is I will respond to you not later than my goal is to respond to you in the same form of communication you communicated with me within 24 hours of whatever form of communication you communicated with me. So that's just one aspect, Ed, of continuity and the congruity of communication. Because if we don't communicate, then, well, I don't know. Are you ignoring me, or where are we with this?
Ken, is this fear of retaliation creeping in?
Well, if there's any retaliation on a harassment claim, there's also other issues that come in terms of serious complaints that can be filed following that. Harassment, just as Ron is saying, people hear harassment, they immediately think sexual harassment. And that is illegal. And companies have very strict policies on that and take serious action when that occurs in terms of investigation, gathering statements from witnesses, and so forth. 100% absolutely unacceptable and grounds for termination. But there are, just also, as Ron was saying, other forms of harassment, whether it's bullying, whether it's dumping all the horrible assignments on one person, yelling at an employee. All of that can be the basis of someone saying, I'm being harassed here. You're meaner to me than you are to my coworkers. What's that all about? Why is that happening? So if we're really trying to develop an environment of trust, an environment of engagement, we have to be on the alert for any forms of harassment. And if it occurs, employees have the right to talk about it and mention to talk to their management or to HR or to a senior manager what's going on. But as leaders of an organization, we want to be aware of that. We want to make sure we're training employees. If you're treating members of your team with respect and with trust, you're not harassing them. And frankly, harassment can come from their coworkers. It can come from even if they have people reporting to them. There certainly are cases where the people and managers are being harassed by their employees. None of that is acceptable. None of that should fit into the culture of the organization. And we want people to be engaged. We have to let them know if it's going on, say it, and we will take action on it, whatever the form of harassment may be.
Ed and Ken, let me each ask you something that has occurred with me very recently. I asked a person in multiple ways, multiple times, a question. And okay, so I asked a question by way of text, no response. I sent the same question by way of email, no response. And I have reason to believe the recipient, got my message. And finally, after the third attempt, and maybe that same number of weeks, the person came back and said, stop harassing me, asking me the same question over and over and over. And it was just a very simple question. Did you see? And they said, stop harassing me. And I thought, okay, you did not respond to my question. And so maybe I would ask you, and by your definition, by your life preferences, is that harassment?
That is not harassment. What happened is that, using today's terminology, for whatever reason, this person was ghosting you. And that's not acceptable in the workplace. And, if they I wouldn't stop harassing me. I wouldn't try and write back, well, here's the definition of harassment. That tells you something about that person. Number one, not responding is totally unacceptable in the workplace, unprofessional, and simply setting it aside, you could just as easily say, you are ignoring me. You're treating me with disrespect by not responding. You're harassing me. And now we're into that realm. So no, that's not harassment. It is a normal expectation. If you send someone an email that calls for a response, you call them. It is absolutely normal to expect to hear back from them. And if they don't, it makes me wonder. When a person says that, that person is arguably looking, if you will, for trouble. And I would be very careful of an individual who says that. I would be concerned about other aspects of that individual's performance, because that type of behavior doesn't occur in isolation. My question would be, what else is going on? Because that is absolutely not acceptable. And come back and say that's harassment. that simply is not. I mean, if you're doing it 24 times and you're doing it at midnight and you're calling, put that aspect in, you are engaging in a normal business practice of reaching out for a comment, for a response. Were you advised? Were you informed of this? Please let me know. And I'm sure it's not send me immediately. I mean, it's written in a nice professional way. It's being ignored. That tells you something to watch out for with that individual. I would take that as a red flag.
You and I share absolutely the same values, Ken. That's exactly what I think.
Say again?
The Padres are on at 10:40
Oh,
a.m.
okay.
today.
Right. Thank you. Sorry about that.
Are you being harassed?
No, no. I just got a bulletin that the Padres are on TV soon.
That's great.
Oh, talk about core leadership skills, such as I'm reading this, such as communication, problem solving, and decision making. Again, this is from Gemini about problem solving in the workplace, and the university nature of the company. That's what they're getting at here. That's an ongoing. In fact, Stephen Howard is talking about the same things about ongoing learning at work, core learning skills. Is that training, Ken? Is that what is required now? Remedial training to make sure everybody's on the same page?
Well, I don't know if I'd call it remedial, but I think that, providing educational opportunities, whether it's through training programs, seminars, webinars, courses for people to take that are relevant, that they're not just sitting and going through, again, a ritual. Everyone's gone through this class. We all have to go through it. And it's a bit, as opposed to really building on the skills, particularly understanding the aptitudes and interests that the employees have as they look down the road. Where are the areas in which they would like to develop their skills? Where are the areas in which developing their skills would help them carry out their jobs more successfully? And whether that's, if you call it upskilling from the manager, training and guidance and support and mentoring, as well as formal programs. But it's very effective in an organization today to let the employees know that we are very interested in their development and growth as individuals, and not just saying it, but creating bona fide opportunities for them to advance themselves in their career in the path that they want to be on. So that really is, it's not just training, and it's not using old-fashioned training and training methodologies either. We know from the training standpoint, a lecture is actually the least effective way for someone to learn. They learn far more by practicing, by having feedback, by engaging. Because I can be at a lecture and it's a training session, and we're sitting here, we're doing it remotely, and I'm actually just on my laptop. Okay. Or if it's something comes out in a lecture and I have a question, I don't get to ask it, so I don't learn. People really learn by getting feedback along the way in the educational program. I'm not talking performance appraisal, but engaging two ways, as opposed to just here's how you do it and go do it. That just is not an effective way for people to learn.
Ron, at one time you talked about, pardon me, at one time you talked about EQ, emotional intelligence, and teaching that in the workplace. Is that part of this discussion, or am I off base?
No, it is a part of it because emotional intelligence has to do with how I respond to maybe what you say to me, what our communication, that I may, if I know that, I need to know myself that, and as I know you, Ed, there's some things that, I want to ask you a question. Now, maybe 3 or 4 different ways I could word that question. I want to word it in a way that is aligned to your personality, your styles, but I don't want to be emotional about just responding without thinking into what I want to try to effectively communicate. So yes, emotional quotient. What may trigger an emotion with me? You know, the old expression, well, count to 10 before you respond. But those kind of things that are we emotionally stable enough that we can take a response and process it correctly, and we are not going to get emotionally reactive to that and escalate it to the point of being combative or argumentative. I would hope that we can process it in a rational, intellectual way, that we can say, okay, I am going to be the mitigator with this, and I am going to keep this at a level of communication to where we can both benefit from this. And that has a lot to do with emotional quotient, emotional intelligence.
Ken, is this the C-suite's responsibility rather than the mid-management level about rebuilding accountability and trust?
Well, I mean, you'd like to see emotional intelligence shown by individuals in the C-suite and demonstrated in their behaviors. But in terms of who's responsible for it, I think a lot of that just comes by the very way in which managers, leaders, C-suite execs behave. One of the key components of emotional intelligence is empathy, truly understanding how the people you're working with feel. And it's different from sympathy. Oh, I feel sorry for you, this happened, or you're too bad. Empathy is really putting yourself in their position and understanding how are they feeling and interpreting and deeply internalizing what's going on in this organization. And that's different because you think, well, we'll just put out these regulations or have these meetings or go and do our leadership practices in the same old way without really understanding how our employees are interpreting it, what impact it's having, what might they be going through. It's so interesting when we talk about feedback and the millennials, what they're interested in. Among other things, they do want to have some consideration for their mental health. And how's the work balance? How are things going? How are stress levels? How are you feeling about this? And that's with empathy, we're getting insight into that. And that makes the entire work experience more successful for them, more meaningful, and that helps build their engagement. So ultimately, yeah, it comes back from the C-suite. If it's not coming from the C-suite, you can't expect your managers to do it. You know, if I'm reporting to someone in the C-suite who really is not all that involved or concerned with my growth and development and my work and my performance and satisfaction, that's going to impact my work and how I deal with the people who report to me. That's part of the culture of the organization, which emanates and starts from the top. That's where it's built.
Ron, so give us your C-suite perspective on modeling respectful behavior in the workforce.
Yeah, I'm right on board with Ken and everything he's saying. In the context of empathy, I use the term frequently. I'm in the moment with you, Ed, with you, Ken, meaning that, all right, yep, I sense exactly where you are with whatever it is you're going through. And so as the leaders in an organization, we have got to exemplify. We've got to live. We've got to be who we say we are. If we say we represent something, and I only represent that for the moment that I'm saying it, and I'm out cutting my grass or you wherever it is, and I'm doing something radically different from what I just said in the workplace, then from my perspective, there's a discontinuity in who I am. And I have to, in the context of trust and respect, I have to live what I'm saying. And so I want to exude that or exemplify that in the people with whom I'm working, the organizations. And I would hope I can have people who want to model my behavior. And no one wants to be like me. That's not my point. But if we can exemplify those core values, that we want to learn together. And I'll say, in the context of what Ken was saying just a moment ago, that the learning environment, many of us learn from podcasts, webinars, and so forth as we are interactive with. That's where, and as we can ask questions of that person, or at least express different ideas, boy, that to me is stimulating thinking. But the environment needs to be such that we share that with each other. We're not concerned about you or Ken advancing over me if I share information with you. Nope, we're in this together to advance each other. That's all a part of our culture.
Ron, would you, as CEO, in this scenario, uh, if the word comes up to your level from the mid-manager who's dealing with this kind of a problem in the team, that there's a problem in the team, and you in the C-suite want to model the behavior, you get on the company-wide Zoom TV and broadcast a message to model behavior, how it should be in the company. So would you aggressively take that? I would think you would, that you would take the stance and address an issue before it gets out of hand.
Well, yes, but I'm not sure I would do it the way you're saying, Ed. That
I'm just a media guy.
Well, no, and I'm not suggesting you're doing anything wrong. That's not my point. But if I get on a broadcast and I say, "Wow, man, it's all of you are doing this wrong," and in 12 minutes later, I say, "Okay, now I expect you to model what I'm saying." Wow, I'm talking down to these people. And gosh, no, that's not the approach I take. That I might want to. Well, first off, I think for me personally, I will do everything I can to have a face-to-face meeting, and so I don't want to do this in a faceless, voiceless environment. That I want interaction, and so I again share an observation. Can I get your inputs? I'm very interested in what you think and see, because maybe I saw something, processed it the wrong way, and so I want to be very careful not to be dictatorial. Yes, I am responsible for, but I certainly don't want to be dictatorial in the way I do things. That it's easy to get shut down in that kind of environment. So I want to have a very open communication to where we feel free, psychologically safe. Again, as we've talked about, that we can share information with each other. That we're all learning together. We all each want to advance each other, the company, and so forth. And as Ken very eloquently described, that not every idea is going to warrant implementing, but hey, let's keep bringing up ideas, because, innovative thinking is what we're all about.
We have about 5 minutes remaining here on the schedule. Ken, this has really been a really hardcore conversation, and I thank you for being involved here. I don't think we would have achieved this without your input.
Oh, thank you.
Maybe we would, but
Yeah.
thank you.
When you've got Ron and the Cooper culture, you're going to get just super high level information and insights. And I really enjoy hearing Ron's points, and certainly chatting with both of you on this topic.
So integrating coaching and mentoring, Ron, we're talking hardcore leadership things and proactive rather than reactive.
Yes. And coaching, mentoring, two different disciplines, but yet what you're doing is developing a person to advance to the next level. And one of the leadership gaps that I address is you're promoted to the next higher level position strictly on seniority, not meritocracy, on seniority. You've been with the company X number of years. No one has been with the company that long. Well, Ed, we're going to promote you to the next position. But I look for those that are based on merit. Yes, you have actually been functioning at that level for some period of time. We're going to elevate you to that level. But it's my responsibility to train you to accept that next level of responsibility, not to force you to do it, but if you show me the aspiration you want to, in the context of mentoring, I want to mentor you to elevate you to that next higher level position because you aspire to be there. It's my responsibility to either myself or provide training within the company, maybe through middle management, to elevate you to the position to which you aspire. But Ed, it's environment, it's all about engaging with you to know exactly what your aspirations are, and I want you to feel comfortable that yes, I'm working with you. Let's set up a plan that for the next 6, 9, 12 months, whatever the time frame may be, we're going to train you to where you feel comfortable yet you are ready for that new position. But that's all a part of working together as a well integrated company that you know exactly where you fit, and I'm good for my word.
So both of you now, as we come to a close on developing the idea of developing succession plans, getting to overcome a problem on the staff or to remotivate uh, the team spirit, develop and talk about the development of a succession plan to communicate that this is a good place to be, let's pull together, let's learn how to do better so we can all succeed.
Well, one thought to keep in mind is that as leaders, we are, and people talk about role models, but models and behaviors that are demonstrated by the leaders are internalized by the team. So if we want, you just listen to how Ron approached that whole situation. And it's not, as he said, not being not being dictatorial, but engaging. Maybe I misinterpreted what happened here. By taking that approach when there's an issue, it's also training the person he's talking to. Oh, that was interesting. When he kind of disagreed with what I did here, he didn't come at me, but he wanted to understand. So I could say, look, just try to understand the person, or you demonstrate the behavior, you engage in it in a genuine way. And by the behaviors that managers engage in, and if they're showing respect and trust and empathy, those kinds of two-way communication, those kinds of behaviors, people learn that way. And that's if we talk about succession planning, that's building the skill levels. So we have individuals with whom we can do succession planning that we can not provoke, that we can promote down the road.
Ron.
Oh, I'm right there with you. That people do model the behavior of the culture in which they are in. And again, we frequently carry forward that of the environment. And so I want to do everything I can to create the right environment to where people, again, carry forward core values. We respect each other. One of those core values is we'll never denigrate, never consciously denigrate each other. But yet, if should something happen, we feel very open that we will discuss any I'll just use the term anomalies that may occur between us, that we want to resolve it there before it escalates to anything. Then I certainly don't want anyone to feel that they may be a target of gossip kind of thing. That destroys relationships.
Ken, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for the invite. Always enjoyed being on with both of you. And, I'm a huge fan of Ron and the Cooper culture and just greatly enjoy hearing his insights on this.
Yeah. Thank you, Ron.
Well, thank you, Ken. Thank you, Ed. It's always a great conversation.
Yeah, this is really a winner. Thank you. Please come back to Global TV Talk Show and go visit us at YouTube. YouTube is just a hell of a resource. I began Global TV Talk Show in March of 2020 as a result of COVID crashing into my 30 years of live events and businesses. And since then, we've done over 1,100 broadcasts, and they're all available free. Please subscribe Here's how to get there. It's youtube.com. It's free. youtube.com/@Global TV Talk Show. Free access. Thank you. And
Thank
go
you.
to thecooperculture.com. Ken, do you want to talk about your new book? Do you have a publisher yet?
Not yet. We're still in the woods and trying to put this together. So nothing to talk about yet, other than be persistent, be patient. It takes a while. Rome wasn't built in a day, and I'm okay with that.
Ciao. Thank you.
But thanks for asking.